Story 1. Update: I heard my in-laws talking about getting my wife back together with her ex. Original post: I'm sorry if I write something incorrectly. English is not my first language, and I'm pretty horrible at it. I am a 35 male, have been with Abby, 35 female, for 13 years now. Every day that goes by I love her more and more, and we're even expecting her first baby. For the holidays we always stay 2 to 3 months visiting my wife's family, but the problem is that this year all the family was really excited about saying that Alan is coming. In all the years in the family I've never heard of Alan, and my wife didn't even care about it, so I thought it was just some cousin. But the famous Alan was my wife's ex and first love. The man lives in Europe, but Abby's family still has contact with him and even invited the man to the house now he's in the country. I tried to get along with Alan, but the man just ignores me and takes every chance to get closer with my wife, making jokes or talking about the past. I didn't take it personal because I don't want to look jealous, but lately he has been coming every day to visit the family, and Abby's family started comparing his accomplishments to mine. They're all big fans of Alan, and I honestly feel jealous of that because they're treating him better than me. 2 days ago I heard my mother-in-law and father-in-law talking about how nice it would have been for Abby to stay with Alan because he's a smart man. What hurt me the most was hearing my brother-in-law say that he can try to get Alan and Abby got back together, and my mother-in-law just laughed, saying that it would be good to go on a trip to Europe every year and not to the countryside with a peasant. Talking about me because I live on a farm with my wife, just because she always dreamt to live in that kind of a quiet environment. In fact, now that I'm no longer blindfolded, I'm starting to notice how my brother-in-law makes too many comments to my wife about how great Alan is, although Abby never says those kind of things about Alan, and I think she even treats him like he's a child. I don't feel comfortable being here knowing that they see me as a dumb peasant. And it's horrible to see how they try to include Alan in the family. When they treat me like I'm just a casual boyfriend of Abby's, but my wife only sees her family these months of the year, and I don't want to ruin that or put that kind of stress on her since she's pregnant. I feel like I'm in some kind of rom-com, but I'm in the role of the bad husband their protagonist leaves for the handsome CEO. Haha. Now for the comments before reading the update. They dated for 2 months out of high school over a decade ago. Your wife doesn't care about him and has told you so. She even went so far as to say that the brother-in-law loves him so much, the brother-in-law should F him. Tell your wife what you overheard. Tell her that you were hurt when they called you a peasant. It sounds like your wife is aware of their maneuvering, doesn't care, and has a lovely life with you. Living on a farm, which is what she aspired to, and to top it all off, she's pregnant with your baby. While their words are hurtful, your wife doesn't care about Alan, and she's explicitly told you that. Talk to her and come up with a plan together on how to move forward. Op says you're right on everything, but I'm more worried about talking about that with her because I know Abby will fight with her family and even cut contact with them. But Abby has always been very close to her mother, and much more so since she's been pregnant, and I don't want them to fight because I know my wife needs her mother's support. This person says talk to your wife, you've been together for 13 years, this is a conversation that you should be able to have with her. I find it odd that she didn't mention who this person was. But if she were hiding something, she wouldn't have had the two of you in the same place at the same time. What her family was doing to both of you is not okay. They are disrespecting both of you. It's been 13 years. They are delusional if they think they can hook him up with her. Clearly, she's not interested. But she needs to shut this behavior down immediately. Shame on them. Going forward, there is no reason you should be spending 2-3 months with her family ever. You have your own lives and a baby on the way. Now for the update. Update: I found out that my wife was cheating on me with Alan. Nah, just kidding. Thanks for all the advice I received. Many of them were very helpful, and some were very weird ideas like record conversations with my mother-in-law, or have my wife choose between her family or me. Maybe it's something cultural, but I would never give an ultimatum like that because to me it's a really low blow to do. Here the family is very important. After making the post and reading the comments, I decided to talk with Abby about what I heard. We were in our room and I talked about what her mother and brother said as calmly as possible. At the moment I finished telling everything, Abby just kissed my forehead and ran with her pregnant belly out to the bedroom to literally yell at everyone in the living room. No one spoke besides an aunt who tried to justify them by saying that they were just making jokes, to which I replied that they were uncomfortable and disgusting jokes. At some point, Abby told her mother something like, "Whether you like it or not, I'm married to this man. I'm going to have this baby with him," and many more, so shut up and bear with it. Then my wife yelled at her brothers and went with them to talk in private. My brother-in-laws talked with me and admitted that they were only doing that because they believed I was forcing Abby to marry and live on a farm far away from the family, when it was actually Abby's idea to get married in private and live on the farm. So all these years it's just been a misunderstanding. The three brothers apologized to me and were really embarrassed about their behavior, saying they only invited Alan to mess with me. After that, most of the family members apologized to us. Abby told everyone that she doesn't want to see Alan in the house anymore while we were here. She's not going to forbid them to talk with him, but doesn't want to see him near her because it's uncomfortable. Mother-in-law tried to complain, but Abby just said, "Shut up, Mom," and left the living room with me in the bedroom. Abby confessed to me that she also felt uncomfortable, but since Alan is a friend of the family, she preferred not to say anything other than throw passive-aggressive comments at him. For example, after New Year's, we were all eating and Alan stroked her belly without asking, to which my wife said, "Do it again, and I'll bite you," so he never did that again. Abby even said that in an opportunity she actually talked with Alan and told him that she dislikes being touched by other people. But Alan said that she was overreacting and left her talking alone. I feel really stupid for not noticing how uncomfortable my wife also was feeling, because after that, this is when she stayed most of the times in the bedroom when Alan was in the house, with the excuse she was tired because of the pregnancy. Just out of curiosity, I asked her why she broke up with Alan if he's such a cool man. Because I'll admit he's really charismatic, and Abby told me that he's always treated her like he knew everything and explained things that she already knew every time they talked. Abby never felt the need of talking about that relationship because it was irrelevant, and she sees me as her first love and not him. I apologized to Abby for not noticing how uncomfortable she was and only looking at my own feelings without talking about it as a couple, and Abby also apologized for the same. We promised to communicate this kind of thing to each other no matter what. Yesterday we went on a date together, and when we came back my mother-in-law looked very unfriendly, but she apologized to my wife, to which Abby said she should apologize to me. So mother-in-law and I talked for a while alone, and although I'm still upset, we promised to at least be civil with each other for Abby and the baby. We decided to the next time to stay at one of the hotel rooms. While we're here, even if it's a 3-hour drive, it would be better for us to be comfortable rather than staying at the in-laws' house. For now, Alan is no longer in the picture because yesterday I got his number to send a message clarifying why he can't come back and why I don't want him near my wife. The man just blocked me without answering. I guess he understood, but if he didn't, I don't have any problem going to him face to face. I showed Abby the Reddit post, and she didn't have any problem with me asking for advice. I'm even posting this now with her hugging my arm. I love this woman a lot. Alan came back to the country because he divorced his wife and is flirting with any woman that comes his way, so it seems he thought it was a great idea to try and flirt with my pregnant wife. Story 2. My fiancé is uncomfortable with my best friend and his wife being at our wedding. Plus update. Original post. My fiancé and I, 30 male and female, fairly socially liberal, together 5 years, interracial couple, not religious. My best friend and his wife, 30 male and 27 female, strongly Christian, social conservatives, married 7 years. My best friend is going to be my best man, and I was his best man. Our friendship is somewhat unusual because we are pretty much opposites as far as political and personal beliefs are concerned. But my policy with him is to never discuss these issues as to avoid conflict, and it works. My fiancé used to like the best man, BM, and his wife, BMW, when they first met. But when BMW likes to post about her personal views a lot on Facebook, and through that, my fiancé has learned a lot about BM and BMW's political views, and it changed her opinion of them. Topics of BMW's Facebook posts in the past have included condemnation of homosexuality, abortion, and vaccination. My fiancé is not very political, but she has told me that she has trouble interacting with BMW knowing that she is homophobic among other things. She avoids these topics in conversation like my policy and can have friendly conversations and behave cordially, but prefers not to spend time with this couple. She has confessed that she wishes that they were not in our wedding, but has not told me outright that they can't be in it. Basically leaving the choice to me. I told her our differences in political opinions shouldn't affect our relationship because these topics are just hypotheticals to us. We're not gay, we've never had an abortion, and none of us have kids to vaccinate. None of these things affect us personally. Maybe in the future, but there's no reason they can't be in our wedding now. But then fiancé said that people like BM and BMW tend to be highly judgmental, and she doesn't want to feel under scrutiny at her wedding. Our wedding will be secular, and she thinks BM and BMW are strongly religious, will frown at that. We are also an interracial couple, and she thinks that homophobia goes hand in hand with racism despite BM and BMW having never made racist comments against her or our relationship. Fiancé seems to think that they can't be homophobic without also secretly being racist too. So I can either keep BM and his wife in our wedding knowing that fiancé will be uncomfortable, or tell them they're not invited and have to come up with an explanation as to why. Now for the comments. I told her our differences in political opinion shouldn't affect our relationship because these topics are hypotheticals to us. We're not gay, we've never had an abortion, and none of us have kids to vaccinate. Funny how you conveniently left out that your wife is East Asian, and that your friends have made racist remarks about other minorities. Racism is not a hypothetical to your wife. She is a woman of color and has most likely faced racism at some point in her life. You are a guy about to enter an interracial marriage who may have mixed-race children in the future, but you completely dismiss your wife's perfectly reasonable dislike of your racist friends. Marriage is about being a team, and you already seem to be siding with your white racist friends over her. Oop adds additional information in the comments. It boils down to this: they support us and our marriage. The problem is though fiancé doesn't really think they support our marriage 100%. While they are not overly racist, my BM and his wife have made uncomfortable comments that border on racism against one ethnic minority, which is not the minority my fiancé belongs to, but nonetheless she thinks they are secretly racist and disapproves of our marriage. And my BM and his wife made the comments about black people, for example, one comment expressing disapproval of white and black marriages. My wife is East Asian. BM and wife have never shown racist attitudes against Asians. If they had, I would have done something by now. In fact, they even seem to have favorable opinions of Asians compared to other groups. My fiancé thinks racism against one minority is equivalent to racism against all minorities. But since their prejudice is fairly minor and don't directly involve us, I don't think it'll hurt just to ignore it for the sake of keeping the peace. Now for the update. I read all the comments from the last thread, including the ones that I didn't reply to. There are some strong points made, and it got me thinking. I talked to my fiancé about the best man and his wife. It took some digging to get the truth out of her. She is not very political or vocal about social issues and clearly didn't want to discuss them. I talked to her one night, hit a wall, gave up, and tried again a week later. It finally came out that the best man and his wife have expressed opinions about her that I was not aware of. Among other things, topics mentioned were how Asians are taking over American universities in some places and how this should be curbed. How our mixed-race kids are going to be confused about their identity and that children should have a unified nuclear family. How her parents speak with an accent even though both of my fiancé's parents are highly educated professionals, and their English is pretty darn good, especially considering they learned it in their 30s, as well as some other less savory stuff not specific to East Asians. So it turns out a lot of the comments were correct in speculating that my best friend and his wife were secretly a lot more bigoted than they let on in front of me. It was shocking everything my fiancé told me came out of their mouths when I wasn't around. But at the same time, I'm not completely surprised. Throughout our entire friendship, I have kind of just willfully ignored the aspects of his beliefs that made me uncomfortable and prided myself on being able to stay friends with someone who didn't share the same opinions as me. About a month before the wedding, I asked my cousin to step up to be the best man. It was kind of half-assed. This cousin is not super close to me, but he was the only male relative that I could ask. It didn't go over too well, but my fiancé and I were both more relaxed at the wedding than we would have been otherwise. Sometime after the wedding, we were talking about my friend, and my wife came clean with one more thing. He had hit on her pretty aggressively at several points in the past, and one of these incidents happened when I was out of state for a while. This is while he was with his wife. I kept contact with both of them after that. I told him why and left him to explain to his wife if he does. The wedding happened. Pulled family rank to get my cousin to replace friend as best man. We are no longer in contact with former best friend and his wife. My former best friend's preaching of family values turns out to be a load of hypocritical bullshit. My new wife and I are doing fine. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for being upset my wife will miss our first anniversary for a bachelorette party? Plus update. Original post. The woman my wife is missing her anniversary for hates me because I drove a wedge in their friendship since my wife obviously spends a large chunk of her time with me. I also see through her bullying bullshit and do not have the patience for her. Anytime my wife tries to include this friend in her plans, the friend whines about nearly everything. Yesterday she was car sick when we had to drive an hour and a half to and from the place. We went as she sat in the back. She tried to solve the problem by eating potato chips and 2 cans of soda, only to keep complaining that she felt sick. She was clearly hinting I should have been the one sitting in the back. But recovering from an injury and the extra room in the passenger seat is helpful. She made every obnoxious dig into my home country and background to point where I almost took the train home, leaving my wife with her friends. Living in a new country has already been exhausting. Having to hear things like that from my wife's friend wasn't pleasant. My wife didn't stand up for me against the friend, which hurt my feelings. We spoke at length last night and today about it, agreeing I would never go out with this friend again. My wife also said it was only a matter of time before the friendship ended because she couldn't deal with the negativity and self-centered attitude anymore. On to the problem. April 17th is our first anniversary. My wife is the maid of honor at her wedding and got to choose when the bachelorette party is. She chose the week of her first anniversary, meaning we would fly home from my home country to a very private getaway I had planned on our anniversary. And my wife would leave me that night to go to this bachelorette weekend. I'm upset because my wife knew when her anniversary was. She knows this friend doesn't like me at all, and the friend has made digs and comments about my wife getting married before her. I understand my wife is between a rock and a hard spot, but I'm tired of having to be understanding at the expense of my feelings over the friend. Oop, edit 1. I don't know why everyone is dragging my wife. I have said several times this woman is a bully. Have you never had a friend who is clearly friends with a bully? It's a hard place to be in, especially when the bully has been their friend for nearly 20 years. I have seen my wife interact with this friend and be mentally drained continuously now. It's a toxic relationship, and those aren't things that are easy to get out of. I've been in a fair few myself, so it's not as simple as she needs to block her. Edit 2. I just had a very long discussion with my wife and explained my feelings. She is ending the friendship with a woman after the other woman in the car's birthday party in a week, so there isn't a fallout. She said her own anxiety about the situation was clouding her judgment, and making me feel how I did isn't what she wants at all. I'm an action speaks louder than words sort of person, so we'll see what happens. But she was heartbroken and worried I was going to start the conversation with a divorce. Now for the updates. Update 1. There were many discussions and disagreements leading up to her ending the friendship. Things would grate at me that my wife was still going along with the friendship for the sake of her other friend and their friendship triangle's birthday party. Every day it was like I was more annoyed because she still hadn't even defended me to the friend, and it was showing she cared less about me and how I felt in her country when she knows how much I miss mine. She knew that she needed to end it anyway and said losing our relationship wasn't an option. After a bit of prying, it was clear how psychotic she thinks her friend is. My wife believes her friend will key her car, show up to the house, and cause problems, drag all the other friends involved into it. It all came to a head when I told her I was not returning to her country from mine if the friendship was still intact. She ended the friendship 2 days later after the friend has started to go off the rails. So far it's been excessive phone calls, texts. The friend tried to text me and apologize for her comments to salvage anything with my wife that I had changed my number a week prior. The apology was something along the lines of, "Sorry if what I said hurt your feelings, but your words hurt mine." What I said had just pointed out my frustration with lived experiences from the new country every day. Friendship is over. X is worried ex-friend will key her car. She is genuinely fearful of this ex-friend. We will be installing another camera as soon as we get home that only points to her car. I doubt this is the last update, and we actually booked a vacation for our first-year anniversary. Update 2. My wife had an exchange of bachelorette party information with the new maid of honor at a cafe. The new maid of honor and her old friends, she knew exactly why my wife was doing what she did in ending the friendship. The ex-friend made a request through the maid of honor that she wanted my wife to delete all the pictures and videos of her from her phone. It was a bit of a head-scratcher with how paranoid the ex-friend is because my wife would never even think to do anything negatively with them. It makes me think what the ex-friend did to all my wife's images and videos from over the years. If she's thinking my wife would do anything with hers, it just seems like another odd bit of controlling behavior. The only real annoyance other than that is that I've had to spend out-of-pocket $500 for my wife's dress, makeup, and hair that was paid for already. The dress was $40. She hasn't had hair and makeup done, and someone has already filled her slot as the missing bridesmaid. My wife spent $400 on the hotel room we won't get to use for the wedding day. Nearly $1,000 out of pocket. Worth it though. The biggest upside has been my wife is much more relaxed over the last month. She doesn't get sucked into drama via text when looking at her phone now. She isn't on Snapchat having to hear the ex-friend talk horribly about her friends, her fiancé, etc. So the messages disappear. I've always said to her the way she talks about all of those others to you, she's talking right back to them the same way about you. We've been enjoying the last month plus of peace and quiet and hope it stays that way. I likely won't have any other further updates unless something actually happens. That's all for today. If you're enjoying this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comment section. Please like the video and share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you.